What's going on YouTube? H-Dub here, and we playing Raid. Now today we're going to be talking about how to properly gear your champions, and I use the term properly very loosely because this is a game and you should gear champs however you want. You know what I'm saying? You should have fun with it, but there is a proper way to gear them to get the most out of the champion. These are more efficient ways to gear your champions, and they'll help your comps overall. They'll help your times in dungeons, they'll help you in arena, they'll help you in clan boss, they'll help you everywhere if you just pay attention to the gear that you're putting on and aim for certain stats. Some people might be asking, why are we talking about gear? Why am I making a video about gear? Well, we actually have a 50% gear removal cost reduction going on at the moment. It will be active until the 28th. It just started today. As you may remember, we had a free gear removal a few weeks ago, which I'm sure a lot of people took advantage of. But if you didn't and you're about to do some re-gearing over the next couple of days, we do have a chance to save some silver there. So I figured this is a great time to talk about gear with you guys. Now, I've worked on a lot of accounts and find that some people, they just slap whatever on the champions based on the rarity, and they kind of hope for the best without really ever looking at the primary stats, the substats, and you know, they just slap whatever on. They don't even look at the champion's kit to see if the gear that they're putting on the champion is beneficial to the champion or not. And now I get it, when you're first starting out the game, it's understandable because you don't have a whole lot of pieces to work with, but you can easily improve your progress excuse me, by having, you know, champions that are built well. So let's get into some specifics about gear before I even dive into specific gear on specific champions. Now, there are 6 artifacts and 3 accessories. We have the weapon, the helmet, the shield, the gauntlet, the chest plate, and the boots. And those accessories, obviously, we have rings, we have amulets, and we have banners. In addition to this, we also have glyphs, which can be used to increase the substats on pieces, right? So you can use a glyph to increase your substats. And we also now have oil, which I probably don't have a ton of, but you can see your total here when you click on a piece to upgrade it right here at the bottom. You can ascend gear now, and that will boost your primary stat on your artifact. As of now, we don't have anything to increase the primary stat on accessories, but at some point we may see that. They did tease that like there will be a new accessory dungeon or something like that, so we'll see. So if you didn't know, when we click on a given piece, this bold stat here at the top is the primary stat. The weapon, helmet, and shield are always going to have the same primary stat. So weapon is always going to be attack, helmet is always going to be HP, and the shield is always going to be defense. The gauntlet, the chest plate, and the boots can have varying stats, guys. All right. They can be all kinds of stuff. Depending on the rarity of the piece, you may have 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 substats on that piece. Now, the better the rarity, the better your chance of rolling your substat higher. Before I go any further, let me just make sure we're all on the same page as far as what a roll is, okay? If we take a look here, this is a legendary 6-star banner. Quick flex. This is a legendary 6-star banner, which means it has 4 substats. It's going to start out with 4 substats. Now, depending on the rank, which indicates how many stars are on the piece, right? So this is 6-star, right? Depending on that rank, it's going to tell us the minimum and maximum primary and substat total, okay? Let me just show you. As you can see here on the spreadsheet, depending on the rank, you're going to have a range of rolls that you can get. And I'll put this spreadsheet in the description below as well. So now that you know all about the ranges of the substats that you can have, it's time to talk about how we're going to use this to properly gear our champion. The first thing we got to do is look at the champion's kit and see what gear and stats best suit them. Now, depending on the champion's kit, you're going to possibly put a specific gear set on that champion, but a valuable rule of thumb is to just go for the best stats possible, even if you don't have the pieces to make a set. In short, stats over sets for sure. Ideally though, you should be trying to use sets. It will be much more beneficial in the long run and can help you achieve higher stats overall. So let's go through each type of champion and I'll show you how I would gear them. So starting off with like a ninja, right? Ninja is an attack based champion, but this is a very niche build. If we take a look at his kit, he's doing damage based on attack, right? So we know we want to get attack on him. I know a lot of people in the early game think that attack just means the person will be stronger, but we have people that don't do damage based on attack, like Stultus, right? He does damage based on defense. And this is why it is so important to read the champion's kit before you just throw the gear on them. You might need accuracy to land debuffs, right? You might want resist or what have you. So take a look at the kit before you even start gearing people. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you silver. Overall, it's going to be way more efficient, right? So Ninja is a familiar character to a lot of people. He is attack based. So I would gear him in some gear to do damage, but I'm actually using him in a much more niche build. This is a regen immortal build, and I think this is the best build to put on him because it is so versatile. Not only can you use it in all of the Doom Tower bosses, you can also use it in the dungeons. Before I had a debuff extend champion to extend poisons in Dragon 25, I was using Ninja to solo Dragon 25 with this build. And it's not that difficult to make. It just requires you to have regen, which sometimes is a pain to get, but the stat requirement is not that crazy because you don't need speed, you don't need crit rate, you don't need crit damage. Immortal gear you're gonna get from the clan boss. But let's just look at this build. This is a build for survivability. We have a defense percentage on the gloves because you want him kind of tanky. We have accuracy on the chest because he's got debuffs that we want to land. We want him to land his HP burn. And we've got defense percentage on the boot. On the ring, we've got defense, flat defense primary with HP percentage substats. We've got an HP amulet that has accuracy as a substat and some resist. It also has attack and defense. And we have accuracy on the banner. And we have accuracy on the banner with plenty of defense percentage, HP percentage, some flat defense, and some speed, which we don't need too much. This build is also used in the Sand Devil at the higher stages. On the weapon, we have HP percentage substats, HP and accuracy, and some speed as well. On the helmet, flat defense, HP percentage, speed, and defense percentage. On the shield, this crit rate, even though we don't need it, accuracy, HP percentage, defense percentage. So for regen immortal builds, you want as much HP and defense as possible, and probably accuracy, because chances are that champion is going to be dealing damage with HP burn. The same goes for like Drexstar Blood Twin. If you've gotten your Drex from the bazaar, obviously you could put him in any gear, but I would suggest you go with a regen build. Even a lifesteal build works on this champion, but you have to build it a bit differently. But Drexstar is actually a decent champion in lifesteal, and as you can see here, I have him in a very similar build to Ninja, to solo bosses, to do a lot of damage on Hydra as well. My Ninja also gets used on Hydra, but if we look at the gear, it is going to be very similar, right? We know his kit lands HP burn with his passive. He also has a provoke on his A2 and decrease attack. The provoke is great in Hydra. And his A1 hits 3 times and it lands some HP burn. But the gear is very similar. We're going for the same stats. Resist, HP, speed, right? Resist, accuracy. This helmet is actually not that great because we don't need attack or crit damage. On the shield, HP, defense, res. I don't care about the crit. On the glove, HP primary, HP percentage primary, resist, defense. Don't need crit and attack. I just didn't have anything better. On the chest, resist chest, right? Instead of accuracy chest, because I need him to resist against certain Doom Tower bosses. So we've got resist there. I don't really need the crit, but I need that accuracy and I need that HP. And on the boot, we have a defense percentage boot. I would like these substats to be a bit better on some of these pieces, but again, I'm using what I can get. But defense percentage primary, HP percentage primary, either resist or accuracy on the chest if the champion needs it. If the champion has a skill that can't be resisted, then you can elect to go with HP percentage or defense percentage on the chest. On the ring, it's going to be a HP primary with HP percentage, defense percentage, right? I don't care about the attack on him. Why? Because he is defense based. He is not benefiting at all from having attack on him. On the amulet, we got an HP amulet with some flat defense, resist, and accuracy. The banner is an accuracy banner, and it's got some speed, some defense percentage, and flat HP. I'm pretty sure I could get a better banner on him. But if we look at the total stats of these champs that are in region, you know, decent HP, decent defense, resistant accuracy. That is literally the key to these builds. I took the resist off of my ninja because I needed to go for more accuracy in order to meet the requirements for the higher levels of the Sand Devil. Mine works with this amount of accuracy. I would like to get it closer to 500, but as you can see here, 65k HP, 4k defense, and as much accuracy as possible. And this is literally the only thing that you need for a region build. I may have one other champ in region that I use like consistently in region, and that is Thylicia. She is also in a region build, and a lot of people probably don't even use her, but there's one thing about her kit that I like. I've used her in Dragon during the Night Rev faction specific tournament because she increased the duration of all debuffs by 1 turn. Placed some poisons on the Dragon Boss with Calvalax, and boom, Thylicia is just going in, extending the poisons and soloing the boss from that point once everybody dies. So I did put her in a region build. It is not the greatest build, but as you can see, she's got some HP. Right now, this isn't optimal. Yeah, I've got speed on her. I could literally change that. But she's got some HP, some defense. She has speed because she also places decreased defense on the waves. So I did want her to go first on the waves. Resist and accuracy, though. Resist and accuracy are so important. She could be a bit tankier, but it worked out fine with this build. That is just for region champions, though, all right? The next build that I really want to talk about is Atk Based Nukers. All right, so let's go and just look at an Atk Based Nuker. We can look at Trunda, right? So this Trunda is not in an amazing build. It is a decent build. And I'm only showing this just to show the pieces that we want to go for. On the weapon, you want to be looking for crit rate, crit damage, right? On your Atk Based Nukers. Crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, substats. Speed if you need it. On the helmet, crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage. That's all you want. At the top on the shield, you can't get attack percentage on a shield. So crit rate, crit damage, speed, and resist is helpful. Some HP is always helpful, so you can have your nuker survive a little bit. Even some defense percentage wouldn't be bad to make them a little bit more tanky. On the glove, crit damage primary stat on the glove. You want attack percentage, you want crit rate, you want speed, you want HP percentage, you want whatever else you can get down here to make them a bit more tanky as well. But you want the rolls to be in crit rate and attack percentage. On the chest plate, attack percentage primary with crit rate. Crit damage would also be great, but I don't have crit damage on the piece with her. I don't prioritize her as a nuker anymore. I don't really use her much anymore because I'm using a lot of defense-based nukers now. But you would ideally want crit rate, crit damage, maybe speed, maybe HP percentage, maybe resist or defense percentage to make her a bit tanky. But you obviously want your rolls to be in crit rate and crit damage. On the boot, attack percentage primary boot. Now, depending on the champs and your comp, you may want to go with a speed boot on your nuker, but the meta has changed so much that everything is moving very slowly in arena. So depending on if you have a champ to lock out your opponents or control the turn meter a bit so that your nuker can get a turn, you can elect to take an attack percentage boot, right? And obviously you want crit rate on that. Crit damage would be ideal on that. Flat attack also awesome on that. And some speed, HP, whatever you can get. But you want your rolls to be in crit rate, crit damage, right? Or crit rate and attack. Flat attack would be awesome, right? On the ring, flat attack primary, of course, because she is an attack-based damage dealer. And you want attack percentage rolls, right? As many as you can get. The rest of the substats don't matter that much, but to make her a bit more tanky, you would want it to have like HP percentage, flat HP, some defense or defense percentage. But again, you want your rolls to be in attack percentage because her damage is going to be scaling, or anybody who's an attack-based nuker, their damage is going to be scaling off of attack. On the banner, we also have an attack banner on her. Oops, I skipped the amulet. Crit damage amulet with flat attack, right? Flat stats aren't the worst thing in the world, guys. They are beneficial. Crit damage with flat attack and some resist, some HP and some defense. And on the banner, we have an attack primary banner with attack percentage, some speed, some HP and some defense. So depending, you may want to go for speed on your banner. You may want to go for more rolls and attack percentage on your banner. All depends on how your comp is tuned and when you need this champion to take a turn. But you have to do that depending on your account. You can't go based off of what I am showing you now completely. Next, let's talk about defense-based nukers, right? Now, defense-based nukers are my current favorite nukers. They just provide so much more utility. And while the attack-based nuker, Trunda, you know, is favored, well, was favored, she's kind of been phased out now. Defense-based nukers have been coming in crazy. I don't have a lot of the newer attack-based damage dealers, so I've been going with defense-based. But defense-based nuker, very similar to attack-based nuker. You just want to be making sure you go with defensive stats instead of attack stats because they scale off of defense. But as you can see here on the weapon, crit rate, crit damage, resist HP. On the helmet, we're going for defense percentage, crit rate, crit damage, defense, right? On the shield, crit rate, crit damage, defense percentage, right? On the gauntlet, crit rate, crit damage primary, crit rate as a substat, defense percentage as a substat, right? Defense percentage primary on the chest plate, crit rate, crit damage, right? Some speed, some HP. On the boot, defense percentage primary, crit rate, crit damage, speed, HP, right? On the ring, defense primary, defense percentage, substats, right? On the amulet, crit damage primary, defense, flat defense rolls, and some resist. On the banner, defense primary, defense percentage, substats, and some speed, some HP percentage. So this is a very similar build to the attack-based nuker. It is a nuker build. We're just switching the targeted substats to defense percentage. So We went with attack percentage for the attack based nuker. Now we're just switching to defense percentage for the defense based nuker. Nothing else has changed. We still have crit damage on the gauntlet. We still have crit damage on our amulet. All right. Everything else is just flipped. All right. To defense percentage. We went with defense percentage instead of attack percentage here. Defense percentage instead of attack percentage here. And obviously we have some blessings on her that have allowed her to, get a decent amount of defense. We've got a decent amount of crit damage. Obviously, you want your nuker to be crit capped. You want a minimum of 100% crit rate unless that kit says otherwise. There are champions that have an extra chance to crit on their kit, and so you can build them effectively without having to build them with 100% crit rate. But if the kit says that, if the kit does not say, that you are going to get an extra chance to crit, or you don't use someone with a crit aura, right? So if the aura doesn't say anything about crit and you're not running them in lead, you need to be building that champion with 100% crit. Now, there are also HP nukers in the game. You're going to build them the exact same way, guys. It's not going to be any different at all. See, we have a Magnar here. This is not the greatest Magnar build, but really quickly, I'm just going to show you HP percentage on the chest, HP primaries, right? It's the same thing. You're just flipping the stats to HP. Why? Because we read the kit. He does damage based on HP. So I'm not going to even spend a whole lot of time going through it. It should be plain and simple now when building a nuker who does damage based on their respective thing, right? Now, there are differences with enemy max HP nukers. So if we look at Seer, right? Seer is an enemy max HP nuker. Okay. This damage does this A3 does damage based on enemy max HP, which means for this skill, you don't need attack, you don't need HP, you don't need defense. It scales off of your opponent's HP. Okay. So with this type of build, you obviously want to go 100% crit rate, and you want to go with as much crit damage as possible. Mine's, I wish, had a bit more crit damage, but you can elect to go with HP on them. You can elect to go with a bit more speed than I have, especially if you're running hard Doom Tower. You're going to need a bit more speed than this depending on your comp. She also needs accuracy so that she can strip buffs, but she doesn't need it. That's only if you're relying on stripping buffs off of your opponent. You don't need to build her with accuracy. So you can build her with better stats overall if you don't count on your opponent to take a turn. So the only reason she would need accuracy is if your opponent is taking a turn and you want to strip the buffs off of them. I have accuracy on mine because my Seer is a bit slow. So at the higher levels of Doom Tower, my Seer doesn't always go first. Even though I'm using a turn meter booster, the opponent still takes a turn, and there's a lot of buffs on those higher levels. So I have a little bit of accuracy on her, not too much, probably not even enough accuracy to really strip everyone, but it helps sometimes, RNG willing. So that is an enemy max HP nuker. There are other enemy max HP nukers like, Royal Guard. Obviously, we have Cold Heart that does damage based on enemy max HP as well. A lot of people using Cold Heart. This also scales off attack a little bit, but attack is secondary to the enemy max HP. You can build your Cold Hearts with a bit of attack, but it's not really needed per se. So now that we've gotten nukers out the way, let's look at support champions. Now, support champions are going to bring a lot to your comps. They're going to be giving you shields. They're going to be giving you heals. They're going to be just making sure they're supporting you. They're going to be holding you up like this, right? Just helping you out, helping you out, helping you out. And it's important to look at their kits to see how they're going to be helping you out. We know Under Priest Brogni places shield, block debuffs, increase attack, right? And, the shield can't be removed. It's amazing. He also has some debuffs on his A1 HP burn, and he increases the shield on the A2. His passive is pretty nutty as well. It's going to reflect some damage back from the shield on the attacker. And he's just amazing support overall. You have some other supports that are going to be healing. You have other supports that are going to be mitigating damage as well in their own right, like a Duchess or what have you. Supports like Necrit that are just putting up buffs before the turn starts. So there's plenty of supports. But how do we build these support champions? You want them to be tanky. You want them to have resist. You want them to survive. So you're going to be probably going with as many HP percentage, defense percentage, resist, and speed substats as you can, depending on where you are using them in the game. And as far as sets, you're probably going to be wanting to put them in stalwart sets, bolster sets, shield sets, right? Stone skin sets, protection sets, just sets to increase the overall life of your comp. As you can see on this Brogni, right? Let's just take a look at the subs that I have, right? I have speed and resist, flat HP subs, right? On the helmet, resist, defense percentage, HP percentage, flat defense. On the shield, we got speed, res, flat HP. The gauntlet, I wish this was 6-star, but it's HP percentage primary, resist, defense percentage, flat HP, right? On the chest, resist, HP percentage, flat defense, defense percentage, flat HP, right? On the boot, he has a speed boot on now just because this is the build that I use for Hydra. But normally I would put an HP percentage or defense percentage boot on them. On the ring, HP primary, HP percentage, and defense percentage are the primary substats I want to go for on him. Those are the ones that I want to roll. On the amulet, HP primary with resist, right? We got some defense here as well and a little bit of accuracy, even though I don't really care to use his HP burn much. On the banner, we went with a resist banner, right? A lot of my support champions are probably going to have either a resist or HP banner, depending on where I'm using them in the game. Some may have a defense banner, but it is highly unlikely. It all depends on the champ and where I'm using them in the game. But as you can see, resist here, HP percentage, flat HP, defense percentage, and speed. So your support champions are pretty much gonna all follow this same, kind of format here. HP percentage, some speed, resist on the chest, resist on the banner, HP. This one actually has defense ring with HP percentage, right? But you want to be going for as much HP and defense as you can possibly get, depending on the champ, whether they cleanse you, whether they heal you, whether they shield you, no matter what they're doing. If they're a reviver, right? That's going to make the difference whether you want a lot of speed on them or not, and where you're using them in the game. But primarily, you're going to be going for resist, HP, defense. I wish she had way more defense than this, but we can probably take some of this HP down and go for a bit more defense, speed, and resist, right? This is what you want on these support champions so that they can actually support you, okay? So let's talk about CC champions next, crowd control champs, because they are very, very important as well to getting comps going. And Mithrala is one that everybody has. Not only is she a CC champion, she is also an amazing cleanser, probably one of the best cleansers in the game. She's got the crazy cleanse on her A3, but it's terrible against Torment teams. But she does do some CC with landing the Hex, and then her passive is going to allow the champions to get petrified. She also has poisons on her A1. But you want to be building this champion with as much accuracy as possible. Mine doesn't have much accuracy right now, but accuracy and speed so that you can be landing those debuffs. Let's see if we have someone else here. We can talk about Hegemon, right? Hegemon, decent amount of accuracy, speed, right? The other stats, I'm not going to say they don't matter, but they're not the priority. You want to be getting as much accuracy and speed as you possibly can so they can debuff the opponent. Is that a sub? I think that was a sub. You want to be getting as much accuracy as possible and speed so that you can debuff your opponent before they have a chance to go. So champions like Hegemon, champions like Mighty Yuko, who mine's is stripped right now because I used them for plat reset. So don't have the gear on them right now, but you still want to be getting as much accuracy as possible. Even like this 342 accuracy is pretty solid for most of the PvE content, and I haven't even put all of the gear on yet. This is just from having an accuracy banner. He will probably get an accuracy chest. This amulet is going to have accuracy on it as well, and we're going to be going for as many accuracy substats as possible. As you can see, this shield has accuracy, right? This helmet has accuracy, right? So you want to be getting as much accuracy and speed as possible so that that champion can be landing debuffs and controlling your opponent with debuffs. But CC champions, definitely want them in speed and accuracy, right? 100%. Cleansers, you want them to be in immunity and untouchable, right? Solo build niche champions, you want them to be in regen, you want them to be in immortal, right? Nukers, you want them to be in savage, and you want them to be in lethal. Also, instinct gear is really good as well. But those are all the sets that I would use on those type of champions. I don't know if I missed something, but that's pretty much the range of champions and sets. So I'll say it one more time. Nukers, let's just click on a nuker, right? Nukers, you want them to have lethal, or you want them to have savage. All right, this is attack based nuker, this is defense based nuker, this is HP based nuker, right? You want them to be in savage or lethal, right? The other two sets, you know, can be whatever. The other two pieces rather can be whatever, but ideally you would want cruel to go with that, you would want crit damage to go with that, or some other, anything that honestly boosts their stats, their damage stats. All right, support champions, there's a range of sets that you can put them in. As you can see, this Wither is in stalwart gear to reduce damage taken from enemy max HP, right? I've got bolster on Pythion at the moment. I've got bolster on Brogni at the moment. I've also got bolster on Raka at the moment. Other support champ builds, you can use Stone Skin, you can use you know, was it protection, right? So you definitely want to go with those sets on those champions if you have those sets to build them in. As far as like cleansers, you're gonna 100% want them in immunity or untouchable. As you can see on Cardio, I have immunity, but you can also put him in untouchable or any cleanser in untouchable, so that they don't get debuffed before your team takes a turn, and then they can cleanse your team. And it's that simple. I think that was everything. Oh, solo builds. So if you're doing like a solo build Ninja, a solo build Drex, or any of the other champions that can solo, I made a video about soloing the Nether Spider with Stultus. He was in regen because his kit is amazing for soloing Nether Spider. But you're gonna be going with regen and immortal gear for those solo builds, unless the champion has like a heal built into their kit where they don't need the heals from the set. Then you can elect to go with another set. But I hope this video helped you guys. I hope now that you have an idea, a better idea of how to gear your champions. I know I kind of rambled a bit, but thank you all for watching. I appreciate you. Be good and be well.